Hey guys, it's Aaron. We're back from Arkansas after a series of unfortunate events, but all in all, we're doing pretty good. And before we unpacked everything, we figured we'd give you guys a kind of run through of the bike and the kit and what we brought and why. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. First off, I figured we'll jump into kind of what I was wearing. So helmet, Bontrager Blaze helmet, and that is a wave cell helmet. The main reason I like this helmet, I just use this light clip here. So it's a magnetic light clip, and kind of jump back into what was nice about that a little bit later on. But that was the helmet I wore. Shoes, super simple. Pair of Bontrager. These are the GR2 gravel shoes. Notice how they are lace up, not boa. Main reason there is you're just limiting one less thing that can go wrong on the race route. So with shoelace brakes, it's easily fixable, not so much with a boa. So super simple, super reliable, kind of medium stiffness, still a pretty good hiker bike shoe. As that was the case for anybody, it's definitely the case for a single speeder, so you gotta have good walkable shoes. That's these guys. Rest of the clothes, Bontrager wool cap with a bill, folds down, covers your ears. Wore that most of the time. When I didn't, that'd go in the jersey pocket. Wool hat. Paired that with just kind of super simple pair of Bontrager, kind of light to mid-weight fleece gloves. Just a little bit of wind block. So that was frequently worn, and when not, that was tucked in the jersey pocket. Socks, woolly bullies the whole time. They're the jam, the feet. This is like a mid-weight sock, good warmth to kind of comfort ratio. Love these things. Gotta have them. Bibs, nothing special. Pair of Castelli bibs, full length. That's those guys. Shirt. This was a long sleeve. It's by Club Ride. This is a wool blend jersey, so it's got two pockets in the back. It's got a nice vent in the back as well as a pretty decent zipper. So when it did get warm, you unzip that dude, and when it got chilly, zipped it up, and even has these little kind of thumb pulls to close the gap between your glove and your base layer. So that was sweet. Wore that thing every day. Also on me at all times was this wind vest. Thank you, John. Todd. This was OG CycleWorks wind front mesh back. Super packable. That would just go in the pocket. I wasn't wearing it, but you know, with the Arkansas ups and downs, you'd wear this thing a lot. And the way you do is you'd unzip the base layer and the vest when you're climbing, and then you go down and you zip back up, so you don't get too chilly on the descents. Awesome wind vest, wouldn't go without it. A couple other things, had a pair of headphones, nothing fancy, no batteries, listen to a little music, had those kind of plugged in, run through my jersey most of the time, and a buff. Not just COVID reasons when you're entering towns, but also warmth, cover up the mouth on descents, used it a whole lot. Lucked into this super sweet Bariac buff from Joe Stiller, thank you, Joe. Got a couple other things from Joe as we move towards the bike. That's kind of the kit as far as what I had on me pretty well all the time. I've even got the full bike. I was rocking a Gary Fisher Superfly single speed. So I decided to go 34-18. Again, I rode that gear last year when I made it 95% around the course. Debated hard on increasing the gearing and couldn't find a good reason to. After this go around, I probably still wouldn't change it. I think it's a good gear to do a sub 6 day effort. Just allows you to climb enough, and any parts that are slightly spinny are, for me, a great time to eat and drink and take pictures. So totally dug the gear. It's you know, for those of you that ride single speed, I think it might sound like a soft gear, but it's hilly. I think people are finally learning it's a hilly course. So that's a Superfly. I rode that rigid, of course, and I had a pair of Gravel King Panoramic Grapple Kings 700 by 50, so a 2-inch tire. Last year I ran 2.2s. I ran the Sparwood. These are slightly smaller. I wouldn't go any smaller. I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but there's a fair amount of chunk and chunder, and the comfort that it gives there as compared to the resistance elsewhere is minimal. And so I'm all about the chunk, and riding it a little bit more comfortably was nice. I did puncture in the back, so this was aired up until yesterday. I punctured in the back about 10 p.m. on top of Mount Podo, and it was just barely not one to seal, and so I threw a tube in it, and actually just yesterday I pulled a thorn out, so I think what sealant was left in there sealed with the tube, but now I pulled a thorn out, and so now she went on another diet, but that's okay. Good tires. I would probably go with SK Plus next time, just in lieu of making that decision to go with the tougher tire, but great tire. Monica ran something super similar. Moving on, pair of pedals. Those are just SPDs. They do have a decent platform. I like that for on and off the bike a whole bunch, so when you are hiking, I like that a lot. Something simple, but I just noticed it makes a little bit of a difference, which is nice. So yeah, that's kind of the bike. Flat bars. I like flat bars. I don't dislike drop bars, but when you're doing these long rides, I'm personally more comfortable, especially single speed, with the leverage that I get on the flat bar. So if you guys can come up here and see, ran a flat bar. These are ESI Extra Chunkies. Ran an Ergon grip last year, and they're okay. These are better. So Extra Chunkies paired with Cane Creek bar ends, not a better bar end out there as far as flat bar leverage and comfort goes. So that was awesome. I guess while we're at the cockpit here, if you guys want to take a little bit of a closer look, rocking the bar yak. So this is Joe Stiller's creation, and kind of what this did is give me a mock aero bar setup, as well as a couple mounting points. Big shout out to Joe Stiller for shipping this E-Trex mount down last minute. So this is his carbon mounted bracket for the E-Trex or Garmin, Oregon Garmin, depending on what you used. This was a Oregon 600T. Thank you, Matt Oakes, for letting us scoop that up. That was awesome. And then light. This is the sine wave beacon, which is hooked up to the Zone Dynamo hub. Love this thing. Super simple, very reliable. Haven't had a lick of problem at all. So I kind of had this mounted on the left side, and I would frequently have a USB cable coming out to charge a battery pack or phone. What was also nice about this mount, kudos to Mark Medlin for coming up with this kind of mounting setup last year when we got ready for Arkansas. But if you guys look, I'm rocking a bladder instead of 2 bottles, and so this little magnetic piece goes super great on my light mount. Makes it super easy to reach, to drink, slap it back there. Of course, the yak also provides a great place to run a front bag. I guess while we're up here, we can kind of jump into that. So front bag, this setup was kind of totally function over form. I think you could get away with just having a little bit of a bigger seat bag, but I personally like to have the weight distributed evenly. I like quick and easy. So what this is sleep system, shelter, everything I need to sleep. So pop that dude off. This was housed inside a Z-Packs bag from my friend Matt Ashworth. Thank you, Matt. This is kind of an OG setup from them. So you just pop that dude off and then unroll this. This is their Cuban bag, and basically just out comes my bed. So here's my bed, and what you can do is just kind of unroll this. Had a big Agnes AXL, like 7-ounce air pad inside. So I just kind of blow that up here, and then I also had Matt's, this is a 45 degree quilt that Matt made. Again, thank you, Matt, for letting me borrow that. This thing is super warm, very packable, and worked great. Lastly, this is paired with, this is a Bora Gear bug bivvy, so this is a waterproof sill nylon floor with a little bit more of a breathable upper. Didn't really need the bug net for this year. this time of year, but it was nice if you needed to kind of zip this thing away and then tie that up to like a spoke on your bike or something like that. So that's my bed, and once you're done, the whole idea is to just uninflate that and roll it back up and throw it in that bag. All packs down super nice. I'll set that over here for now. Also, what else was in here? This is my tarp, so if we did have rain that I also needed to sleep in, the idea was to move through rain if that was something we encountered, but I didn't. This is like a 4-ounce Cuban tarp from Edward Gear. It's a 5.5 by 8, super minimal, but works really great and is very light. So that's that on the bottom, never used it. And a pair of shorts. These are some nice sleep shorts, super thin, old school Umbro soccer shorts. The idea there is just something to get out of your bibs, kind of air everything out while you catch a couple Z's for a couple hours. So that was all on the handlebars. Super light little setup there. I guess from there, let's pop back to the back. This is a 7-liter race seat bag from Apidura. And kind of what I had in there was basically clothes. So this was my whole wardrobe that I wasn't wearing. So kind of loosen this dude up a little bit. Rain jacket. Use that a lot as just wind layer. This is Outdoor Research. Excuse me, not the Houdini. This is the, oh, I forget the model name. That's all right, the Feroci, I believe. This is Feroci rain jacket. So super lightweight and good windproof. Also in the back, this is actually a super sweet little kind of messenger bag. What this is basically store pickup. So resupply convenience stores, grocery stores. This is a little bag from Restrap, also from CycleWorks. And the idea there is you go into the store, grab, check out, dump on the counter, throw it back in, throw it over, and you're off to the races. Kind of eliminate unnecessary time in town. You can start to eat, as you catch a nice flat stretch, and you can maybe lunch or distribute food elsewhere, but the idea is to kind of eliminate packing in town and wasting time at gas stations. So for the space, this thing is awesome. This is kind of a new piece of gear for me. We got at the shop, and really in love with this thing. I think it makes a lot of your resupply experiences a lot better and more efficient. So that's Restrap. That's there. Also in here, Puffy. In lieu of a pretty lightweight quilt, I went with a bigger Puffy, and the idea there is they'd pair well together, but then this is also still something I can wear while riding. So this is just a hooded Puffy from Patagonia. This is their kind of full hooded down puffy sweater, and nothing special there. Wore it quite a bit. Chilly, those descents in Arkansas get you. As they say, the mountains may not be real high, but the valleys are real low. So some of those descents got kind of chilly. That was Puffy, nice to have. Also in the back, our rain pants. These are from Co-op, REI, and they work great. Got to have a Velcro strap to kind of keep the bagginess away from cutting chain rings and stuff like that. Rain pants, got to have them. Also good source of warmth. Jumping further in here. Big mitts. So this is kind of a do I bring or not bring. This is a big debate. Monica her and I both rocked these in the end. The idea was cold hands and wet hands, and these are pretty warm by themselves, so if you were to damp out your other ones, these are fleece lined, but they're 100% waterproof, and the idea there is that kind of 28-degree nights, it was nice to throw these things on, and I know Monica used them coming off some of those big descents on the mountains. So one of those things that you don't use a lot, but they're there when you need them, and usually those are times of make or break for a lot of ultra racing. So one of those things I probably wouldn't go without, depending on the weather. Let's see. Last but not least, a pair of wool socks. Just another pair of woolly bullies. We just kind of rotate through the 2 pair. Those are in the bottom. I also had a pair of Defeat knee warmers. I lost them. I don't know where they went. They made it through my whole race experience, and somewhere in transit back they disappeared. So also had a pair of those in there. I frequently had those on. Those were pretty well on at all times, and when it was hot, I just kind of shoved it down to the bottom of my ankle and let them chill down there before I needed to pull them up again. The days are much shorter, and so that 1 to 5 p.m. window was a lot shorter than expected, and then by 5 o'clock they're pretty well on for the rest of the night. So that's the clothes. So we got the front, we got the rear. I didn't have anything on my person at all. And then kind of, guess we'll jump up to top tube bag if you guys want to come take a peek up here. So top tube bag, snacks and kind of daily uses. So up front, electrolytes. This is mixed electrolyte capsules and CBD from CycleWorks. Both awesome things I would never leave without, honestly, just on a short ride, but definitely on those longer endurance efforts. So gotta have those dudes. Kind of also up front, some of my favorites that Monica sourced before we headed out. It's this cashew yum butter. These things are awesome. I had a couple other super fats. I know you guys like these things. This was the macadamia with MCT and added probiotics. And these things are sweet. You get like 300 calories of delicious tasting cashew butter that you can eat just by itself. Or it's nice to snag a bar and just squeeze some of that in there real quick, or throw a shot in your mouth and throw it back in here. So rocked a couple of those, still have a couple left. But those are always super accessible, along with my CBD and electrolytes. And so those were there, and then on the bottom of there is also a couple of Ricolas. So we scooped those up in Russellville. The cold air was getting to us, and so those were lifesavers to just munch on, kind of soak up as we went up a climb and things like that. So those are the Ricolas. Also super happy to talk about this new addition to my food kit. These are little slices of ginger. So these are crystallized ginger, also a Monica idea, and these are sweet. They're a punch, but they're super nice to have and kind of help with digesting and settling the stomach a little bit. So those are nice to pop 1 or 2 of those on like a climb and kind of enjoy the taste. So those are awesome. Gotta love the ginger. Also in here, let's get into the top tube bag. We had it all. Friction Zone, Brave Soldier, gotta have it. CycleWorks' favorite product, and I wouldn't leave the house without it. This stuff is a lifesaver. Used just about a full tube, so that's nice. And that's just an oil-based substance. It's not a cream-based, and thoughts there is it's less messy, and it seemingly just works better. So if you haven't given that a go, you guys need to try that for sure. Also, if you guys look in here, Brave Soldier chapstick, SPF 15, something to chap those lips. Wind burnt, sunburnt, all the things. We both were dealing with chapped lips the whole time. I know everybody was, and so I was super stoked to have that along, as well as the Gerber Dime. This is my just multi-tool. It's got a pocket knife. You never know we're gonna need a pocket knife. Also, it's got a pair of pliers, so nice to do a little bit of wrenching on the bike and things like that. Didn't really need it, but it's good to have. Gotta have that, dude. And it's handy, right? Gotta have that guy kind of handy. In the backside here, electronics. So this little dude here, a couple spare batteries. So these are AA batteries that powered this Garmin. Both of us use battery-powered Garmins. The idea there, you're gonna carry a little bit of weight in batteries, but it's super simple to swap out, pop in a new pair, and then you've got a 100% battery. So a couple of those, you're always rotating through those once or twice a day. Then I have my spare battery pack. This is just in my little Cuban bag. So Goal Zero. This is a 2400 milliamp battery pack, and I have one USB, micro USB for Garmin. So that would charge a battery pack, and then as well as phone cord and one USB wall port. The idea is to never use this thing, but you never know. This is one of those things that can totally help you steal some power if you happen to be chilling at a place with power. So gotta have that, and that's all handy too, right? Gotta have that stuff handy. A couple spare batteries in there that were left over, and more Ricola wrappers. So that was kind of the situation up top. And let's see here, kind of jump down to the frame bag. So frame bag, food and water, and tools. So the idea there is just kind of have a middle divider here. This is just a EXP series Salsa frame bag. Don't particularly love it, but it fits this bike like a dream. Yeah, so I rocked it. It's got a divider here. The idea was on this side, this is pretty well all food. So a couple things I had in here. Cliff Bar. This is my $2 Cliff Bar that I carried a couple 100 miles. One of those you just didn't eat. Chocolate chip and peanut crunch though, so it's one of those that, you know, not your run-of-the-mill Cliff Bars. This would probably be a good one. Sunbelt wrappers, got a couple of those in here. Good bars. Lock. Didn't really use this thing. This is a good one to carry. This is the hip lock. It's just basically you're looking at a zip tie lock, so this is just a small deterrent if you were to spend a decent amount of time inside a shop or a building. Of course I didn't do that, so I didn't need it, but that's good to carry for what little weight it does bring. Also in there, food, we've got wrappers, we've got a homemade mix, a little bit left over from Monica. This was the sweet mix. This is the dates and raisins and walnuts and figs and peanuts. That was this guy. I probably left out a couple other ingredients, but we started with a couple. This is what's left of one of those. That's just stuff that you couldn't get elsewhere, and the remote stretch in the beginning of this race in the direction that we went kind of allowed us to bring some of our own food in the beginning, which also included this dude here, almond butter. So this thing is a bottle of resealable gold, and what it is pure almond butter, 190 calories, 9 servings, just under 2 grand in calories. Boom, right there. Easily drinkable by itself. Of course, it's just nice to pull out a bar, you know, if you're already stopping for a hike, a bike, or something like that. Squeeze some in there, take a shot in the mouth, take a bite of a bar. Just good to supplement, right? It's lots of different things, and not just a lot of one thing, but variation. Got to have variation, because sometimes you just don't know what your stomach's going to be like in the moment. So, got to prepare for lots of different situations. Love this stuff. This is from Thrive Market. Monica scooped that up for us, so that's awesome. Got a couple other wrappers in here from bars. That's that side. Also up top of the frame bag, so super accessible even when it's just stuffed, is my air pump. This is just a high volume air pump from Bontrager. Sell it at CycleWorks. Had it for a very long time. This thing's awesome. Got a couple different pieces of tape, Gorilla, electrical, a little bit of duct tape. Some works better than others, but you never know when you might need this stuff and for what little space it takes up. Had it on there for a long time. Do you need to check that every once in a while? I did add a fresh layer of Gorilla tape, so yeah, that's the pump. Got to have that thing handy. And on the other side, you know, was water. So I've dabbled back and forth with feed bags in different situations. For me, this system worked the best. This is just a 2-liter bladder from my Patagonia 9 Trails kind of running vest. So 2 liters. I rarely filled it up with 2 liters. Usually rocked about 1.5 liters on this course. With this weather and the rain that we had before, I truthfully think you could have gone around the course with the 1 liter filter and been totally fine. I think Monica would agree. It all depends on your knowledge of the course, but there was water abundantly. So this was nice to just pop off like this, go into a gas station, fill this up, or if it wasn't at a gas station, I'd pop it off just like that, and oh, I can get a little bike wash. And then what I would also use is a water filter. So this is a B-Free from Katahdin, and this is a 1 liter filter, also from CycleWorks. Packs down to nothing, packs down to the usual size of a filter. But when you want it, this is a full liter of water. So this is like the size of an Nalgene. Awesome. Filled up this thing out of many creeks and rivers. One of my favorites. Got to have that thing. Easy to fill up that bladder with. A couple things here. This is an orange Royal strap actually. So I picked this up off of the by the Little Missouri River. This was not mine. So if you or someone you know lost a orange Royal strap in the Albert Pike area near the Little Missouri River, let me know. We can ship this thing to you. So yeah, picked up that thing. And this is a tool bag, so a little bit smaller now that I threw a rear tube, or excuse me, a tube in the rear tire. Kind of just jumping into this real quickly if you guys want to look down here. So in the tool bag we have plug kit, ibuprofen, and a couple extra painkillers I've been carrying around for a long time, but that's just in case of emergencies. This is my valve core after I took that out when I had a puncture. Spare CO2, lighter, tire lever. This would have been the bag that I kept my tube in. Got to keep your tube separated from your tools so you don't puncture those tubes. So that was what was in there. And then this is kind of a mix of more tools and first aid. So in here I have moleskin, I have tube repair, I have a tire boot for park tools, I have extra chain links, I have extra valve cores and remover tools, I have spoke repair, I have spare set of brake pads, I have some dental floss, I have a couple extra tube patches, and I have a couple micro pure. These are just good for 1 liter each of purified water, micro pure. I do have a filter for the space these things take up. They've been in there forever. You got to have these things. If everything goes to shit, they're good to have. So got a couple sets of quick links in here with a spare bit of chain. Didn't need any of that. Floss, tube stuff. That's kind of the idea there. And then this was just the other CO2 container there. So that's tools. And kind of also going back in there. That's something that I would just keep either on top or above the water bladder. It's easy to get to. So I have my knife and my multi-tool, my bike multi-tool, a little bit more easily accessible. And then those are super easy to get to as well, so not a big deal there. Also in the bottom, my spot tracker. Haha, this guy. Put him in there on day 4 after I'd given up on him working. Thank you everybody for messaging me and letting me know that my spot wasn't working. I made diligent efforts to try to get this thing working a full day ahead of time this year for once, and seemingly it wasn't jamming. Scott at Track Leaders had all of my spot information and still couldn't get to work. And so that got put in the bottom and saved the batteries just in case somebody else could have used them. So there's my spot tracker. That was on my seat bag for the first 3 days, strapped up top right there. Spot tracker. Let's see what else is in the bottom. Shouldn't have much else. I know I have a little bit of chain lube and a towel. Keep that kind of handy. These conditions weren't horrible. Once or every other day, I would say we were probably lubing chains, so probably twice. Good to have a cloth and a microfiber cloth especially. And this is just some Dumont-Tech. So gotta have the chain lube. And then shouldn't be too much else in here. These are second spare tube. Gotta have 2. Got to. That's that. These guys, these are fun. So these are just a pair of like cooking gloves, I guess is what I don't know what you classify them as, but there's a funny story here. This is from our good friend Steve at Rich Mountain Country Store. And he insisted that Mike and I both take these when we left there, just in case we were to get cold, stick our hands in here. And I do agree, they do block wind and rain and water very well. They don't breathe, but for the space that they take up, we were sure to take those along with us. Thank you, Steve, as well as all the hospitality I'm sure he gave every other racer. It's probably one of our favorite stops. So, a pair of those gloves. That's pretty well it. In the very bottom, I also have 3 stakes here. So, of course, didn't use these, but if shit does hit the fan and you're caught in a storm and you have to sleep out, I had that tarp. I have 3 stakes, and the idea there is to just pull that tarp lengthwise from the bike, stake the 2 corners, so there's 2, and then I would tie my tall guy line around my seat and down that side, and that would provide a little bit of height on this side. I'd use the 3rd stake for that. 2 Y stakes, and then 1 Y stake and 2 kind of ultralight DAC stakes. So, excuse me, super light, take up no space, and if shit were to hit the fan, they're good to have. So that's good. Got those. Wrappers, pretty well it. Just on the back side of this pocket here in the frame bag, I kept my money card, so just had a little Ziploc that's now upstairs, but I have a Ziploc with basically just ID and money card. Got those. Also have multi-tool Crank Bros M17 chain breaker, carry it every day of my life. Gotta have this. Use that a couple times. Seat actually came a little loose on like day 3 for some reason. Tightened right up, had no problems with it, but it came loose. So, like I said, a lot of chunk. Gotta have that guy. Also had in there my round 2 of cue sheets. Lost round 1 somewhere on day 2 or 3. This is just a DIY cue sheet made with a DIY laminate from clear tape. So carry that dude in there. Also have a couple spare zip ties and the key that goes to my bike lock. So that was kind of the setup there. That's the top two bag. For the most part, that's it. A couple other thoughts on this front setup if you guys want to come up this way. Of course, SLX hydraulic brakes, just what I have on my mountain bike. This is my mountain bike, if you guys couldn't guess. Also have a pair of Profile Design kind of strap-on elbow pads. These go to a pair of Profile Design jammers from JW. Thank you, JW. These are nice. You kind of keep them loose and it lets you bend them a little bit, but they provide a nice amount of comfort to getting this aero bar set up without guiding something too obtrusive. So that's the idea there. One last piece. I have a mount if you guys want to come around to this side right here. What that dude is my headlamp setup that I had on my helmet. I can just pop this magnet right off, and then what I do is slide the light off. This guy would often get just chucked in there. And what I can do is slide the light straight on this mount there, and then I can run my USB port and charge this while I'm riding during the day. So that's kind of one of those small things that just takes time to dial in, but really liked having that super handy so I could get that charged up for all of the mini night miles. It's a little bit different doing the course this year in the fall as compared to last summer. Days were a lot shorter, and so you get a lot of night riding. Gotta like the night riding. Past that, that's pretty well it. We had a C17 carved, like the extra flex and stability. Gosh, I think that's it for the most part. Yeah. Just want to say thanks again to John and Mark and Jose and Kane, everybody at CycleWorks for kind of helping me figure out this whole thing. And it's always a continual process. You're never done. I think we're both learning that, and so shared creativity and ingenuity from everybody, and I'm super grateful to be surrounded by all of you awesome guys. So yeah. Probably missing a couple things, but if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and we can get it figured out. I guess last but not least, check out this sweet shirt from the race. So unfortunately we didn't get to finish, but I think kind of after the experience that we had, I'm even more confident now than I was going in that a sub 6 day effort on the single speed is super possible. And I would be lying if I said there still wasn't a fire burning deep within to get back down there and give it a go. So kudos to everybody that did finish and is still out there riding. You guys are all rock stars. This is a really hard course. I know many people said it's harder than Colorado Trail Race and significantly more climbing per mile than the Tour Divide. So it's super unique to get humbled by something this close to us in our backyard. And I look forward to going back. So thanks again. Thanks for watching.